Hello and welcome to Go Pop, your weekly dose of all things pop culture.
We have a super episode for you this week. Man of Steel premiered in Australian cinemas this week, and we sat down with director Zack Snyder and the Man of Steel himself, the very handsome Henry Cavill.
But before we hear from the men behind the movie, let's take a look at the top 5 stories from around the globe.
High five.
Yeah.
Woo.
It has been reported that 146 babies in the United States have been named Khaleesi this year. I'm not actually too sure how I feel about this, but at least 146 were not called King Joffrey.
William Fichtner is playing Shredder in the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Will confirmed his role to the Huffington Post in Canada, saying it was one of those things he really had to think about for a moment.
20th Century Fox have announced their official plans for an Independence Day sequel this week. But sad news, apparently Will Smith is just too expensive and is not making a return. Fingers crossed they can afford Jeff Goldblum.
How do you make the internet squeal? You put Arnold Schwarzenegger in a zombie film. Maggie is not your typical zombie flick. The family drama centres on a teenage girl who is slowly transforming into a zombie. Schwarzenegger has signed on to star as Maggie's father.
The BBC has released a video of actor Matt Smith saying thank you to Doctor Who fans. Smith is leaving the show in this year's Christmas special and will next be seen in the Doctor Who 50th anniversary special.
You're the answer, son. You're the answer to are we alone in the universe?
Can I just keep pretending I'm your son?
You are my son. And I have to believe that you were sent here for a reason. And even if it takes the rest of your life, you owe it to yourself to find out what that reason is.
With the Hollywood trend of superhero films continuing to grow stronger, it was only a matter of time before we saw the Man of Steel grace the big screen again. And this time, he's in the safe hands of director Zack Snyder.
We really had to, take this mythological character and sort of create him again, make him live again. And I think the thing was, we really just said, okay, let's pretend like no movies have been made, and we're just making one for the first time.
Yep.
And I think that was really the key.
Unlike Bryan Singer's Superman Returns, Man of Steel is a true origin story. The film grounds us in the world of Krypton and really sets up who Kal-El is, what he meant to his people, and why he was sent to Earth. I'm so glad that Zack Snyder shows us more of the planet Krypton than we've ever seen before.
For me, that's what makes this one of the strongest Superman films to date. It makes a man who is literally unstoppable relatable, and it even encourages us to sympathise with the big bad General Zod.
Yeah, the poor guy just wanted to save his people. You can't blame Zod for that.
Well, apart from the fact he was going to kill the entire population of Earth to do it.
Yeah, I hear ya.
Why did you think that Zod was the perfect villain for this film?
Zod, I thought, was really important because he represents really the conflict for Superman between the two worlds, between Krypton and Earth. And you have this character that sort of represents his past, especially as an adoption story. It's cool to bring up, that the whole other family part of it, I think, is really fun.
One thing I was a bit nervous about going into this film was how were they going to raise the stakes? How do you create a problem that is hard for Superman to fix? The guy is indestructible. Sophie, do you think they pulled it off?
I do. I think the fight scenes between Kal-El, Zod and the Kryptonians were super intense and utterly engaging. But what was really great was seeing the destruction they left in their path. Whole cities in ruins. And I appreciate that you get a sense of Superman's vulnerability.
Yeah, you see him struggle, and not only physically. There are moments when you see the pressure that he's under being responsible for Earth's people. I have a confession. I cried from 15 minutes in. I'm not even joking. I honestly started crying 15 minutes in, and I did not stop. Every time Kevin Costner came on the screen, Waterworks, at the end credits, wipe the 3D glasses, fogging up.
His face.
Yeah. A lot of that, I think, was the vulnerability of the character.
Yeah.
Why do you think that was so important?
Because so much has been taken for granted previously, and the character which we represent in the movie has always been in the comic books, but in previous live action, it's always been, it's an invulnerable alien that flies and saves cats from trees and stuff and, never does wrong, and you're like, okay, well, I guess that's cool. But if we genuinely discovered an alien amongst us, how would we react? And more importantly, how would that alien feel? Especially if his responsibility was actually looking after the world, because if we discovered that, it would turn us on our head, just like Jonathan says. And that makes you ask a lot of questions. And so living as that character sort of is is really important. And it's just the way that we chose to tell it is what created that, I think.
Man of Steel is a moviegoer's must. It's a superhero film that is equal parts action and heart, is visually spectacular and makes you fall in love with Kevin Costner.
Fair enough. Henry Cavill is a near-perfect Superman, chest hair and all. And I think that the character's yearning for belonging is the start of a really bright future for the franchise. To win the ultimate Man of Steel experience, enter our competition at sftv.com.au/win.
You can win a private screening of the film for you and 19 mates, plus a life-size Man of Steel replica statue.
Well, that's it for our special Man of Steel episode of Go Pop. For our full interviews with Henry Cavill and Zack Snyder, head to sftv.com.au/GoPop.
Man of Steel is in cinemas now, so make sure you see this blockbuster film on the big screen. Until next time, see ya.
Bye.